Getting a call from work in the middle of the night is bad enough. But what happens when you show up and find the office empty? No coworkers, no security, just the echo of footsteps that don't belong to anyone human. Account 1. The sales manager. I remember the call like it just happened, even though it's been years. Sometime past 2 in the morning, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I didn't even hesitate. Saw my boss's name on the screen and picked up. His voice was sharp and patient. He said I'd forgotten to sign a stack of papers, and he needed them immediately. He had a flight to London at dawn, and without my signature, the entire deal might collapse. Half asleep, my stomach dropped. That contract was everything. I'd been killing myself over it for weeks, putting in extra hours, skipping dinners with my wife. If it fell through because of me, my career was done. His tone carried that same menace it always did when he was angry, only worse. It wasn't just disappointment in his voice. It was something colder, something almost mechanical, like every word had been flattened and warped through a broken speaker. I barely thought about it. I got dressed in yesterday's shirt, didn't even tie my shoes properly. I just grabbed my keys and bolted. The streets were empty, slick with a thin layer of dew, and for the entire drive I kept imagining him pacing at the office, veins popping, ready to tear into me the second I walked in. But when I pulled into the lot, something was off. There were no cars, not a single one. My boss was supposed to be there. The guard always parked out front, but it was just me, my headlight sweeping across an empty stretch of asphalt. I killed the engine and sat there for a moment, gripping the wheel, trying to convince myself it made sense. Maybe my boss had a driver. Maybe the guard was doing rounds. Inside, the lobby lights were on, humming softly, but it felt dead. Like a stage set, waiting for actors who'd never come. My footsteps echoed too loudly as I swiped my badge and rode the elevator up to the 6th floor. Every second inside that elevator, I felt something pressing on my chest, a dread I couldn't shake. When the doors opened, the office was exactly as we'd left it the night before. Desks neat, chairs tucked in, monitors dark. Not a paper out of place, no boss, no contract, just silence. And then I heard it. At first it was faint, buried under the hum of the building. A thud, then another. Heavy, deliberate, like someone walking with great weight. But there was something else too, trailing behind. A scraping sound. Not like shoes. Like metal dragging against tile, slow and steady. I froze. Called out once, "Hello?" My voice sounded small, swallowed by the empty office. No answer. Just the footsteps. Closer now. Louder. My pulse hammered in my ears as I ducked into the copy room, pulling the door just barely shut. Through the slats, I saw a shadow stretch across the wall of the hallway. Long, distorted, like someone tall but hunched, their outline not quite right. My brain tried to tell me it was just the flicker of the overhead lights, but I knew better. That thing wasn't shaped like a person. It moved wrong, too slow, too deliberate. I held my breath as it passed. Every step felt like it shook the floor, and the dragging sound scraped so close I thought it might catch the door. The shadow lingered, and I swear I saw it pause, like it was listening. I don't know how long I stayed frozen in that room, but eventually the sound faded, drifting down the hall. That's when I made my move. The stairwell door was so cold it burned when I touched it, but I shoved it open and bolted down the steps. I didn't look back, not once, not even when I thought I heard the dragging sound echoing behind me. When I burst through the front doors into the night air, it felt like I could finally breathe again. But standing in the parking lot, panting, I realized something that still makes me sick to think about. My boss's voice on the phone. I'm not sure it was his at all. And whatever called me there, it wanted me in that building. Alone. Account 2. The secretary. I never would have gone if I hadn't believed the voice on the phone. That's what still gets me. It sounded so real. It was about 3 in the morning when it rang. I almost didn't answer, but when I saw it was an unknown number, something in me thought, what if it's important? The second I picked up, I heard a man's voice, calm, official. Said he was with the police. He told me there had been a homicide inside the office building, and they needed access to our suite right away. He said my name, my firm's name, even referenced my boss. I was the one with the keys, so if I didn't come, they couldn't secure the scene. My heart went cold. A murder? In our building? I didn't even think about it. The man rattled off details so quickly, about procedure, liability, that it felt true. By the time he hung up, I was already pulling on jeans and grabbing my purse. Driving through the city, it felt like my chest was tight. I kept picturing blood in the hallways, strangers swarming the offices, detectives waiting for me to unlock the door. It was ridiculous, but I believed every bit of it. When I got there, though, the first thing that struck me was the silence. No cruisers outside, no flashing lights, no squad cars, no tape, no one waiting for me. Just the office building standing there, quiet as a mausoleum. Still, I convinced myself maybe they were inside. Maybe they didn't want a scene. I hurried in. The lobby lights glowed dim and yellow, flickering slightly. My footsteps echoed far too loudly as I crossed the floor. The security desk was empty. That wasn't unusual. Sometimes the guard took breaks, but at that hour, it didn't make sense. I called out, "Hello? Police?" Nothing. Just the hum of the vending machine in the corner. I pressed the elevator button, and when the doors opened, the metal screeched like it hadn't been oiled in years. The ride up felt eternal, and I swear I heard something shifting above me in the shaft, like a chain being dragged across the steel. When I stepped out, the corridor was dark. The motion sensor lights should have clicked on, but only one flickered halfway down. It cast everything in a weak, yellowish glow. Our office door was at the far end. That's when I heard it. A boom. Then another. Heavy footsteps. Too slow. Too heavy to be normal. They didn't echo right. They seemed to come from everywhere, bouncing off the walls, vibrating through the floor. And with them came the sound of something else. A dragging scrape, like stone grinding on tile, metallic and uneven. I froze. Every hair on my arm stood up. "Hello?" I whispered, my throat dry. My voice didn't carry. It just got swallowed by the silence. The footsteps came closer. My instincts screamed to run, but my legs wouldn't move. I pressed myself against the wall, just listening as whatever it was drew nearer. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it, like the air got thicker, heavier. The lights above me flickered, and for a split second I saw the edge of a shadow bend around the corner. It wasn't human. I bolted for our office door, fumbling with the keys. Dropped them once, cursed under my breath. The footsteps quickened. The dragging sound scraped closer, louder, like it was inches from the hall behind me. I got the key in, shoved the door open, and slammed it behind me. Inside was pitch black. I didn't dare turn on the lights. I just crouched under my desk, trying to hold my breath, listening. The footsteps reached the other side of the door. Then silence. For a long, unbearable moment, there was nothing. And then, right against the wood, I heard it. Breathing. Slow, heavy, like an animal that had hunted me down. I stayed there until my phone buzzed in my hand. The screen lit up and I nearly screamed. It was a text from my boss. Time-stamped at 3:15 a.m. All it said was, "Are you okay? Why are you at the office?" That's when it hit me. No one had called me. No police. No investigation. And I wasn't supposed to be there at all. I didn't wait another second. I ran. Down the hall. Down the stairs. My shoes slapping the steps as loud as gunshots. I swear I could still hear it behind me. The scrape and the weight of something massive following. But when I burst through the doors into the night air, it was gone. Sometimes, though, I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't made it out. If I'd stayed hidden just 1 second longer. Account 3. The maintenance worker. I've been with that building for over 10 years. I knew its bones better than anyone. Every pipe, every vent, every crack in the plaster. So when the call came in that night, I didn't hesitate. It was just past midnight when my cell rang. Caller ID said it was the building manager. He told me in a rushed voice that there was a massive water leak on the upper floors. He said if I didn't get there quick, it could cause hundreds of thousands in damage. Sprinklers, electrical, the whole 9 yards. He sounded panicked. I'd never heard him like that before. I didn't even question it. I grabbed my tool bag, threw it in the truck, and headed straight downtown. The thing that first hit me was how empty the parking lot was. Not even the guard's car, and he was always there overnight. I figured maybe he'd stepped out for a smoke, but the lobby was empty too, desk abandoned, no one in sight. Still, I told myself the water had to be shut off before it spread. I went straight to the maintenance room and checked the gauges. Everything looked normal, no pressure drop, no alarms, nothing. But then I heard it. Drip. Just one drop, somewhere above me. I climbed up to the 10th floor, flashlight cutting through the dim halls. And the strangest thing? The smell. Damp. Mold, maybe, but heavier, like standing water. My boots squeaked against the tile as I moved deeper in, but the sound didn't match. It echoed wrong, stretched too long, like the building itself was repeating it back to me. That's when I heard the footsteps. Not mine. Not light like a guard or another worker. Heavy. Too heavy. The kind of steps you'd expect from something carrying a body's worth of weight every movement. And there was more. A dragging sound, wet and metallic, like something soaked being pulled across the floor. I froze, listening. The sound was close, but the corridor was empty. I swung my flashlight across the walls, lockers, office doors, nothing out of place. Then the beam hit the end of the hall, and for just a second, I thought I saw it. A figure standing just outside the circle of light. Not a person, too tall, too twisted. Shoulders bent forward like they couldn't bear their own weight. Its shadow stepped to the floor, wrong, like it was smeared. I blinked, and it was gone. The footsteps, though, didn't stop. They got louder. Closer. I ducked into the stairwell, trying to get down to the sub-levels where I could at least arm myself with something heavier than a wrench. But the stairwell wasn't empty either. I could hear the steps echoing above me, and below. No matter which way I turned, they followed. I kept going until I hit the basement. The air was thick, damp, and every sound echoed in ways that made it impossible to tell where it was coming from. I slipped into the boiler room, shut the door, and pressed my back against it. My hands shook so bad I nearly dropped the flashlight. That's when I saw something that made my blood run cold. Water, trickling down the wall, but it wasn't clear. It was dark. Almost black. And the more I looked, the more I realized it wasn't water at all. It was thick, like oil, running slow, seeping into the concrete. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. I held my breath, gripping the wrench like it could actually protect me. The dragging noise scraped against the metal of the door frame, long and deliberate, then silence. I don't know how long I stood there. Minutes, maybe longer. Finally, I cracked the door open. The hall was empty. No footprints, no shadow, nothing. Just that smell of damp and rot, stronger now, like whatever it was had seeped into the walls. I left my tools behind and ran. Didn't even care. I drove home shaking so hard I could barely hold the wheel. And the next morning when I came in for my shift, the building manager swore he hadn't called me. Said there hadn't been any leak, no record of a problem at all. But I can tell you this, I don't walk those halls at night anymore. Whatever's in that place, it isn't pipes, or wiring, or anything human. Account 4. The system admin. I'm used to late nights. Comes with the job. But that night, I wasn't working. I was dead asleep when my phone lit up. Boss's number. I groggily answered, expecting some emergency with the servers. Sure enough, his voice came through. Sharp, irritated, almost buzzing with static. He said our overseas client was screaming bloody murder because all their systems were down. I had to get to the office right away and bring the servers back online, for the deal was dead. He said it with such certainty, so much venom, that I didn't question it. Didn't think about how he almost never called me directly. Didn't think about how the voice sounded. Off, flattened, like it was being funneled through a broken machine. I just grabbed my hoodie, shoved on shoes, and drove. The streets were nearly empty, and for a while the only sound was the hum of my tires. But as I got closer, I started feeling it, like my chest was being squeezed. No real reason, just this pressure growing heavier the closer I got to the building. When I pulled into the lot, it was deserted. No security car, no lights on the upper floors, just the lobby glowing faintly behind the glass doors, like the building itself was waiting for me. Inside, the silence was overwhelming. My footsteps echoed up into the high ceiling and came back warped, like there was a delay. I headed straight for the server room on the 3rd floor, trying to convince myself the boss would be waiting there. Annoyed, but grateful. The stairwell was cold. Too cold. Like walking into a freezer. My breath fogged in front of me, and somewhere below, I swore I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, heavy. Coming up, one at a time. I rushed faster, boots clanging against the steps. The sound followed, always matching my pace, always just below. By the time I burst through the 3rd floor door, I was drenched in sweat even though the air was icy. The hall was dark except for a flickering strip light near the end. The server room was halfway down, its glass window faintly reflecting the glow. That's when I realized the reflection wasn't mine. Something stood in that glass. Tall, crooked. Its head tilted far too low, like its neck couldn't hold the weight. The outlines shimmered like heat waves, and behind it, dragging across the tiles, was something long and metallic, catching sparks of light as it scraped. I blinked. It was gone, but the footsteps remained. I forced myself into the server room, shutting the door hard enough to rattle the glass. Inside, all the machines were dark, silent. That's impossible. There's always a hum, fans spinning, LEDs blinking. But they were dead. Then, one by one, they flickered on. Not with the usual green lights, but with red. Every server glowing, pulsing in unison like veins under skin. And then came the sound. Not just footsteps now. Breathing. Deep, wet, gurgling breaths. The dragging noise scraped along the hallway outside the door, pausing right in front of me. The glass pane rattled. For a moment I thought something would come through. But it didn't. Instead, the lights in the room cut out all at once. Pitch black. And in that dark, right by my ear, a voice whispered. Not words I could understand, just syllables, guttural and warped, like they didn't belong to any language I knew. I bolted. I shoved the door open and sprinted down the hall, heart slamming in my throat. The footsteps thundered behind me, faster now, chasing me, closing in. I didn't dare look back. The stairwell door loomed ahead, but when I grabbed it, the metal burned my hand like it had been sitting in the sun all day. I screamed, pushed through, and flew down the stairs 2 at a time. All the while, the dragging sound scraped along behind me. Closer. Closer. When I crashed into the lobby, the air shifted. Warm again. Normal. The sound cut off. My footsteps echoed alone. I didn't stop running until I hit my car. I didn't breathe until the building was just a shrinking shape in my rearview mirror. And the worst part? The next morning, I checked the system logs. The servers had been fine. No downtime. No outages. Nothing. No one had called me. No one had needed me. But whatever that thing was, it wanted me there. It brought me there. And I don't think I was supposed to leave. Work-life balance is important, not just for your health, but maybe for your survival. Some jobs will work you to death, and others might not let you make it out alive. This isn't the first building with secrets lurking in its walls. If you thought this office was dangerous, wait until you hear about the halls that whisper back to you. Meanwhile, subscribe, because there's always more in the archives. And if there's a tale you want to hear, leave a comment. Chances are, I've already got it waiting.